Right. Good afternoon, Keller Williams, Greater Metropolitan, and welcome to our weekly sales meeting as we are going to hit a topic that I absolutely love, which is the idea of receiving more referrals. I am going to spare you all of my statistics around that until later when we're having a live in-person interview or live via Zoom interview with Linzie Potoczak, a member of our Agent Leadership Council for 2023. She's going to break down how she's built her business through Sphere and referral. Before we get into that, let's talk about our beliefs. Let's talk about our beliefs as a company. One that we covered quite a bit last night in our career night here in Rocky River, that I think fits really well with the idea of referrals, is the idea of a win-win, right? It's a win-win or no deal. And the beauty of this framework originally started by the Rotary Club. They coined the term win-win, is that things have to be mutually beneficial to move forward. And so as we look at everything that we do as a company, as we look at creating opportunities for agents, and as you think about how to create opportunities in your business through your Sphere and through referrals, come first with the mindset of a win-win. That opportunity, that mindset will bring more opportunities, right? Like, what's the win for somebody in your Sphere? What's the win for somebody in your database to refer you business? We'll cover that more later. I'm sure you can come up with a couple of good ideas on your own, but then start to speak to that and start to speak with the voice of opportunity to your database, to your Sphere, and to anybody that you know. So we'll cover that more, but as we move into what will undoubtedly be a very exciting, a very action-packed, and a very lucrative market, keeping the mindset of a win-win will be hypercritical to delivering on the rest of our beliefs here as a company. Last night, we had a career night in Rocky River. It was awesome. We had, I think, about a dozen of us in the room, including some agents as well. Shout out to Chris Case for accompanying her guest to career night. We always love to have agents accompany their guests and to be in the room with us. It makes the conversation a little bit more authentic and adds another layer of texture. So if you know someone who is interested in the limitless possibilities that come from a career in real estate, we have 2 career nights coming up in March. One on March 13th and another on March 27th. Those are the 2nd and 4th Mondays of March. The 13th will be in Pepper Pike. The 27th will be in Rocky River, and we'll be excited to see you, your friends, your family members, your former colleagues, or whomever you would like to bring along with you at each of those events. And there's a snapshot of last night. I'm making what can only be considered an incredibly salient point. As you can see, folks as far from the edge of their seat as they can be in that picture. But a lot of fun, a great night last night. And then, there is an additional career night. Oh no, those are the additional career nights. All right, upcoming trainings.
Michael, we have a career night in Independence on the 28th. I don't think that's the right thing, but I put the link in the chat.
Okay, link in the chat box for a career night on the 28th in Independence, Ohio. Why are we doing one in Independence? Well, it's halfway between the east side and the west side. That's one reason. The other reason is that Hondros Real Estate College has their campus in Independence. And so instead of, what do we say? Instead of waiting for them to come to you, you go to them. And so that's what we're doing on the 28th at the Independence Library. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about your March calendar. March is here tomorrow. So we are already 2 months through the year, and a very exciting 2 months at that. We've got a lot of really great stuff on the calendar. This hit your inboxes on Friday. So everyone should do 3 things with that email that got into your inbox. 1, click the link at the very top, which allows you to add this to your calendar so that everything that shows up on our calendar shows up on your calendar. That way you always know what's coming. Number 2, pick at least 2 things that you're going to be a part of this month. It could be an investor mastermind and a listing presentation. I'll tell you what, everybody should just plan on being at the live listing presentation. It's going to be a home run. Larry Wonky, over 50 listings last year. Absolute powerhouse in the listing space. This is going to be live and in person, working through everything that he does. And then the third thing I want you to do is find somebody either inside of or outside of the company, right? Somebody that you joined with, somebody that you know that's licensed, somebody you did a deal with, somebody that you just think is awesome, and bring them with you. Can be a KW agent, can be somebody that works anywhere. It could be somebody not even in real estate, but just trying to figure it out a little bit. Don't go anywhere alone. This Thursday, we're going to hear from Mike Pasadin, who is our local ambassador for Keller Williams Commercial. He's a senior associate in the Keller Williams commercial ecosystem and has been a great referral partner to a lot of agents in this company. Is going to talk about this idea of give and take and how helping others helps drive our success. Mike's a great example of that. He's built a lot of his commercial real estate business from partnerships with other agents. You already heard me teasing out Larry's session from 11 to 12:30 on Thursday, March 9th. We do 1 or 2 of these live listing demos every year. Larry is a incredibly authentic, very strong communicator, has great pre-listing and post-listings follow-ups. He's going to be sharing everything that he did to list over 50 properties last year. And I would strongly encourage you, pop in there now, reserve your seat. Do not miss this opportunity. And then our Black Realtor Network for Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan will be hosting their first event of the year on March 10th at 6:30. We're going to have that in our Pepper Pike office, but it's going to be a really awesome panel about finding your next deal, right? So this is a conversation that we should always be top of mind for all of our agents, but where's your next deal coming from? If you don't know, you have the chance of being out of business really quick. So Lisa Gaines, John Murchison, and Alexis Jones are going to serve as a panel deep diving that opportunity for all of our agents. And then our investor mastermind on Wednesday, the 15th. And then Shaniqua Jackson, who recently became certified as a credit repair specialist, will be hosting our wealth mastermind for the month of March. Now, whether you have an 800 credit score yourself, this is a good thing for you to be at, because one thing that stands in the way of people in your pipeline from qualifying for a loan that is affordable enough or qualifying for a loan outright is their credit score. And so Shaniqua's going to be walking us through what it looks like to advise and counsel and support someone on their credit repair journey and creating more opportunity in your pipeline with that skill set. And then on the 21st, very exciting. If you remember back in September, we had a big event in Pepper Pike that was our mega camp recap. We tried to recreate that experience of being there in Austin, Texas. Well, we're doing the same thing for family reunion in March. It's going to be on March 21st in the Pepper Pike office. We're going to have a big party. Doors open at 12:30, lunch provided, party starts at 1. And we're going to review some of the top takeaways, interview agents were there. We're going to, and then download a lot of the resources and assets that we were able to take away while about a dozen of us from Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan, we're out in California with about 20,000 other people in the Keller Williams family. All right. Now we're going to throw it over to our partners. Sean Hadley, Don Jarecki, Chris Bullock. Gentlemen, what's going on in the wild and wonderful world of mortgage?
Hi, good morning, everybody. So last couple of weeks, we've been talking about upward pressure on interest rates. It's only Tuesday, but this week's kind of starting out nice and level. I mean, 30-year rates kind of pushed into the top half of the sixes. Still not as high as where we saw in October back when we were in almost the mid sevens, but buyers are generally accepting of where we're at. So a couple things to mention. We've mentioned it again on each of the last few meetings and will continue. Loans closing after April 15th that are Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, conventional purchase or refinance are seeing the new pricing adjustments. The long and short of that is anybody with under a 780 score or over a 660 credit score are going to see changes in how interest rates are determined. So if you've got somebody under contract or going under contract, for most buyers, we're going to suggest closing before April 15th if that's a possibility. But talk to your friendly neighborhood loan officer, cross-country loan officer to expand on that. But two bits of good news. FHA and VA, both very timely here, came in with some price reduction. So VA has dropped their funding fee. So VA does not have monthly mortgage insurance. They have an upfront funding fee, and that's been reduced by 0.25%. And then all FHA loans here moving forward, their monthly PMI went down 30 basis points, which on a $150,000 loan, that's about a $40 drop. So this is very good news. Frankly, I think FHA should be doing a little bit more, but we'll take what we can get, and that's a little bit of good news as far as what's going on. But Chris and DJ?
I got nothing. There's nothing more to add to that on my end.
Yeah, pretty good. It hit the classic line of FHA appraisals are not as scary as some sellers, listing agents, people in general might think. We have a pretty good way of navigating them with escrow holdbacks and things like that if necessary. But yeah, well, FHA, said, yeah. I think it's going to be a bigger thing than play a bigger role, I should say.
Yeah, your average middle of the road conventional buyer, this loan just got a little bit more expensive for them, while FHA just got cheaper. So when we consult the buyer, we're going to look at pros and cons of everything, as well as where they stand as a bidder on a home as well. But just feel free to reach out to any of us for questions.
And what's our key date on that?
The FHA and VA is essentially, for all intents and purposes, almost immediate. April 15th. For loans closing after April 15th, you're looking at the new conventional adjustments.
New conventional adjustments.
And some lenders have already put that in place, by the way. We basically pushed it out as far as we can. Okay. But yeah, that's the guide for us.
Okay, excellent. All right, guys, some key dates there. Talk to the people in your pipeline about those opportunities. You're thinking about a 30-day close. That means we got about 2 weeks to get under contract before the sands will start to shift beneath our feet. Is that fair? Yep. So one of the things that we have to do to help our people hit their goals and their motivations for buying, selling, or investing in real estate is to make sure that we create an appropriate amount of urgency around things that we know that they may not. And so that's an opportunity for everybody here to go back into their pipeline of buyers and say, hey, we talked about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago. I wanted to make sure you knew, here's where we're at. Do you want to get out this weekend and see some stuff? Good deal. All right, on to Gina Legeza with America's Preferred Home Warranty.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's talk about referrals through home warranty today. When your client actually has a home warranty and they have a claim on their home, you're actually digitally told about it. What an incredible way to gain more referrals from that client by simply reaching out and letting them know you're aware they've had an issue. You're here to help if there's anything additional that you can do. If something does arise that needed additional attention, as your warranty provider and partner, I'm here to make you look like the hero. So that is another way to get more referrals as well. In an area where we have sometimes clients not getting home inspections, they have no recourse unless you have a home warranty. So just wanted to go over a few tips today about putting a home warranty on. It equals more referrals for you and your clients. which in turn gives you a client for life through our warranty program. Thank
Love
you.
that. Thank you. And thank you for
Yes.
being here, Gina. Always a pleasure to see
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
And I believe Jess is not with us either today. So that's going to bring us with a little bit of bonus time to our conversation with Mrs. Linzie Potoczak about building a business by referral. So let me get this unshared. Let's get the spotlight spotlit. And then let's have a conversation here. So let's start out first. Linzie, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you been in the business? What part of town you in? And why'd you get into real estate?
Sure. So I have been in the business for, it'll be 5 years already this June, which is crazy. I feel like it's flown by already. I came from a background of retail. So I was in retail management for years and years, and finally decided that it was just, I had reached my point where, I wanted to have a little bit more flexibility with my schedule. And it was, obviously retail is pretty demanding, and real estate is something I had always been interested in. Opportunity presented itself where I was able to, take classes and get licensed, full time in 30 days. And I just jumped in and went for it. And I'm definitely very, very happy that I did.
Yes,
for sure.
We're very happy that you did. We love being in business with you. Speaking of business, what was your production last year?
So I did about 5 million, just a hair under 5 million, and 15 units.
All right. Terrific.
I predominantly work over east side and west side, but more so I live on the west side. So I do a lot.
All right. Terrific. Well, tell us about the makeup of that business. You're out there spending 10, 12 grand a month on Zillow leads. Is that how you do it?
No. So essentially, pretty much almost 100% of my business all comes from my sphere, which is pretty exciting for me. So I will say about 53% of my business comes from directly my sphere. So, friends, to be honest, my family all they're from out of state. So my parents moved here from Michigan right after they got married. So all of my family actually doesn't live here. So I don't get any businesses necessarily from them unless it's word of mouth from my immediate family members. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, friends and, friends of family, that sort of thing. But 53% comes from directly my sphere. And then 40% comes from referrals of people in my sphere. So, a old colleague of mine, she refers me to, her daughter and husband, or, an old, a friend of mine from high school refers me to someone they went to, college with, that sort of thing. So, definitely a large chunk there as well. And then about 1% of my business, comes from an agent referrals.
Got it. Awesome. Well, let's dive into that sphere piece first. Working with a lot of agents and seeing a lot of agents come and either do or don't. There's two types of people that you can work with, right? The people you know and the people you don't know. There isn't a third type of person. Sometimes people will steer away from the people they know simply because they don't want to annoy their brother-in-law, or they don't want to be salesy, or they haven't had to really ask for business in prior lives. So what is it? How do you overcome how did you overcome, or do you consistently overcome the obstacle of like kind of being in your face about your business, or do it in an authentic way? Well, she must not have liked that question. I gave her the question in advance.
Can you hear me?
I'm like, yes. Hey.
I know. Sorry, I am in a house that I currently have a contract. I came a little early from the inspection. I have really bad service here, so I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we will
Can
fight.
you hear me
through
okay
it.
now?
We will definitely fight through it. I can hear you now. You're a little choppy. I think might help maybe kill the video.
So I heard the question, I
if
think
that helps.
just, okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, coming through a little bit better now.
Okay, sorry about that. So I think the question was, how to not come off as salesy, you were saying, is that correct?
Yeah, like how do you overcome the limiting belief that people don't want to hear from you, or that you're going to be salesy, or that you're annoying?
Sure. So, I mean, it's pretty common, honestly, when I'm like just out and about, whether, just going out to dinner with friends or at, birthday party of family, something like that. It's just pretty common that people just bring it up to me organically, which is interesting. I feel like the real estate market, especially lately, is really intriguing to people, just with what's been going on. There's been, a lot of changes. Some people think, we're going into a deep depression, and others are, questioning, kind of what's happening. Is it still seller's market? Is it, are buyers still, overpaying for houses, that sort of thing. So, this really helps a lot because I don't even have to bring it up. They bring it
Yeah.
up to me. So that definitely is helpful. Or, in conversation, let's say that they are, talking about a new restaurant they just visited. And, let's say it was out in, Avon Lake or something. And I, say, oh my gosh, I just was out there. I just had a client, that I closed on a house out there. And they're like, oh, well, what do you do? Or, ask about real estate. So that definitely opens the door. If you kind of just plant the seed, it helps them to then start asking and probing around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, is like to tell a funny story. So, I mean, we all are in houses. We all see hilarious things, when we walk into houses, or random off the wall things. And so I like to just kind of, snap pictures of little things here and there, or things that are, awesome and amazing and gorgeous and, cool, let's say DIY ideas, or, decorating ideas. So I like to, snap pictures or take little videos. And, just in conversation, if people are talking about something, or, things get brought up, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what I just saw. And then, show them a picture, and it just kind of opens up the conversation. It makes it very light and not as, salesy. And it just makes it, a little more real, I guess.
I love that. So for anybody not taking notes, I'm taking notes for you. And here's what you want to capture. One, right? Based on the real estate market that we're in, and based on everything that's happening and the amount of news coverage that real estate gets, you want to be ready for the questions like, how's the market? What's going on with interest rates? Is it still crazy out there? Right? And, you're getting weekly updates from Sean, Don, and Chris about what's happening with mortgage rates. And if you have a good, quick, solid, scripted answer to that question, you solidify yourself in people's minds as, I'm in real estate, right? Secondly, I love this one, Lindsay. I absolutely love this one, which is be aware of what's happening in the market, right? Be what's aware. Now, listen, I know, Lindsay, that you will drive to Conneaut for a listing if you have to, right? But there's a market that you sell. It's, the West Side, right? Predominantly, you live in Lakewood, you work in Lakewood, you do the West Side suburbs, and you do some stuff in the East Side as well. Here's the thing. Knowing what's happening in the market allows you to capture mind share when somebody says something, 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 new restaurant in Lakewood. And you're like, oh my gosh, where is that? Oh, it's on XYZ Street. And it's like, I just sold something on Clifton and Warren, right? All you're doing is just being conversational, but you're reminding them like, hey, I sell houses for a living and I'm good at it. So when you're thinking about the areas that you work in, leverage that as a resource. And then I absolutely adore the idea of having funny anecdotes, right? If you are going to meet some girlfriends or some former colleagues at a bar for a happy hour, right? Or you're getting together for dinner, just scroll through your photos and see the last ridiculous set of porcelain cats that you saw on a showing or something like that. Like there's something like stories are the way that we have passed on information as human beings for about the last 10,000 years. So there's probably something effective about them in the mechanics of them. So if you can tell a story about like, oh, what's been going on? Oh, I've just had the worst deal. It's fallen apart 7 times, right? Any story worth telling is worth embellishing. So, you know, if it only fell apart once, it could be 4 times.
I'm back, Mike. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. You're you gave me a lot of stuff here, so I love it. But
Trying to navigate through this. I apologize.
that's all right. Be ready for the question about how the market is, number 1. 2, know what's happening in the market specific to the areas that you want to work in. And 3, don't miss an opportunity to earn an easy anecdote or a funny anecdote. And for anybody, well, let's go into the next question. For somebody who doesn't have a lot of deals, like honestly, Lindsay, it was 5 years ago, you hadn't done any real estate, right? And
Right.
now you are a lot of people's realtor for life. And I know there's a lot of people on this call who are making that transition. So before you had business under your belt, what were you doing? What conversations were you having to really get the support of your sphere?
Sure. So honestly, I think just become an expert. You know, you don't have to be in the business 20 plus years, despite what some agents might tell you, to be honest, you know, to be good and to be knowledgeable. So, you know, listen to the market meetings like this, get, you know, great tips from, you know, agents that are out there, listen to what's happening with mortgage rates. As we talked about, I mean, this is a really, really hot topic right now. Definitely stay up to date on those. You know, you can go view homes. You don't have to have a client or a buyer just to go view a home. So, you know, go, especially, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily go and, you know, displace a, you know, family with 4 kids and 2 dogs so that you can go and view the home. But, you know, go to some of these, you know, properties that, you know, are going shows and go take a look at them. Just get your foot in the door, gain experience by just walking through the houses, you know, taking a look at the neighborhoods, especially if it's specific neighborhoods or cities that you want to target your business in. It's just a great way to become even more knowledgeable of the area, you know, learn what, you know, parks are around certain streets or restaurants, what walkability they have, things like that, because that's definitely going to help when having those real estate conversations whenever they do happen.
So if I don't yet have business, I can still act like I've got business in the sense that I can go out there and tour these, as you said, go and show homes. I know we teach that in Ignite. And that's something that you did. That's something you did to get more comfortable.
I did. Yeah. I went to go and take a look, you know, like I said, Lakewood was kind of my niche and I know the area very, very well, but just to be able to get in homes. And I mean, why not, you know, if it takes you 5 minutes to get there, why not, you know, walk through the home, see what's out there, see what's available. And you can kind of just get a feel too. I mean, you're learning comps, you're learning price points, you know, what are homes that have specific upgrades selling for, that sort of thing. So that's definitely going to just make you more knowledgeable. Another thing I forgot to mention too is, you know, just put yourself out there. So I know we'll talk about this probably a little more, and I meant to speak to it on my last question, but when I got cut off, you know, post things on social media. Show that you're touring the home, show that, you know, you don't have to actually have a sale under your belt to show that you're in the business and you're making things happen. Social media is a free and very easy way to reach an endless and limitless amount of people. You know, post fun facts or selling tips about, you know, first time home buying or just things that you're seeing in homes as you're touring them. And it's definitely going to be helpful to just show that you're in the business and getting yourself out there.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, you know, you mentioned taking advantage of the data, taking advantage of the information that gets shared out. I assume you just meant like, listen to me more, is what.
Absolutely. Everything you say is just 100% gold, Mike.
Well, you know, you pay for a subscription to the MLS, right?
Yes, I do.
Now, do they charge you less if you only go on there to list homes?
Absolutely not. No.
Absolutely not. So there's the last 31 years of real estate transaction data for Northeast Ohio. exists inside of the multiple listing service. If you told me in 1990 that I had to be in real estate for 20 years to know what the hell was going on, I'd say you might be right. But today I can actually consume 30 years worth of real estate transactions for my street or my neighborhood or my city and know more than somebody who's been selling homes the whole time. So taking advantage of that data and being able to leverage it so that you're an expert is huge. And and I think you're exactly right. It'll allow you to accelerate your growth as a realtor.
Absolutely,
I
definitely.
love that. So you started in on this next point. So I'm just going to give it to you. Like how often and in what ways are we communicating with our sphere, Lindsay?
Yeah, so to be honest, my business and my schedule is a little different than, typical like full-time agent. I also take care of my toddler, full-time. So when I, make a point to touch my sphere, I just have to make sure that, I'm using my time wisely. And the key is to just stay top of mind, right? I mean, I feel like what we always hear, and we hear about that. I think, even when we're in real estate school, that is one thing that is definitely a really good takeaway from that. And we talk about it a lot, but I absolutely speak to my sphere and have real estate conversations weekly. Now, these are the people that I talk to, regularly, like via text or on the phone, that are like closer family and friends. I try to reach out to those maybe that I haven't talked to in a while and just, check in, see how things are going. You don't necessarily have to center the conversation about real estate. We want to be genuine. We want to, come from a position of, adding value. So just hearing from you can just be a reminder, that when they talk to you, they're like, oh yeah, what does Lindsay do? Oh yeah, she's in real estate. And like I said, a lot of times it just comes up organically in the convo, because no matter what, I mean, when you're out, who doesn't ask how's work? Who don't you ask? You're like, oh, hey, how's work going? I mean,
Yep.
if you ask someone, they're going to ask you the same. So it just kind of opens the door. Like I said, for me, I get a lot of my business through social media. So by posting, that right there is just an extra touch in a way people very, very quickly and efficiently. So like I said, my schedule is a little stricter and a little I have a little less time for lead generation than probably a lot of other agents make time for. So I have to just be really efficient and effective when I am, making that effort. So when I say that, now a goal for me this year is to really amp up my social media presence, because to be honest, when I looked at my business for last year, obviously I know all my business basically comes from my sphere, but when I went and looked, I figured out 80% of my business from my sphere are people that I do not talk to on a regular basis. So 80% of my business from last year came solely from social media. So these are people that I graduated with high school with, and I'm dating myself, but I'm going to have my 20th reunion this year. I haven't talked to these people in 20 years, and they're reaching out to me to either help them, or they're like, hey, Lindsay, so good to talk to you, or so good to, see you're doing good. Just want to see if you'd be willing to help my friend. Like, she's moving back from St. Louis and, was really hoping that you'd be able to help her in the Cleveland area. Absolutely. Of course. So it's someone in their sphere that they're referring me to. And again, these are just people that, yes, I have a connection with, but I haven't talked to in a very long time, but they're seeing me through the touch that I'm doing through social media. So it's definitely huge potential with the platform that's available to us.
Let me ask you this question. You mentioned you aren't able to dedicate maybe the amount of time, energy, or resources that you would like based on the other things that you have prioritized, a la your family. Now,
Yes.
Are you able to leverage, like, hey, I'm a mom of a toddler. Does that put you in situations that earns you business?
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, Fitz just started preschool. So now that granted, he literally just started about a month ago. So that's definitely an opportunity, as I'm doing pickup and drop off and, meeting these moms, definitely being able to have those conversations. He's getting to the age where I haven't been able to do this yet, but he's going to, we're going to enroll different, things or clips and things like that. So that definitely helps to open up the opportunity to be able to have these conversations while I, am with my child and with my toddler, at these events and things, for sure.
Yeah. So just recapturing a few things that you shared there. One, the question to your sphere of how's work, right?
Yeah.
Is one that is going to return a question of how is it for you? Boom. Now I'm talking about real estate. I'm talking about a closing. I'm talking about a listing that just came on. Doesn't even have to be my listing, right? Two,
Absolutely.
social media is the slow burn, if you will, that lets people consistently know I'm in real estate. I'm in real estate. I'm a mom. I'm in real estate. I occasionally enjoy a glass of wine. I'm in real estate, right? Like those things that then allow us to be their top of mind whenever somebody has a real estate need far away from us. And then finally leverage who you are, right? Like, you're a mom that's putting you in situations with other people, and then it just simply becomes that game of what do you do for a living? Do you like it? What's going on with it? And then the follow-up game, of course. Let me ask you this. What's your system for follow-up, or how do you queue things once you get a certain question or a question that feels like a buying question, so to speak, or somebody's interested in maybe learning a little bit more? Like, what's your cadence for follow-up when somebody indicates interest in real estate?
So to be honest, and this might not be, it's not probably really custom, but for me, I have noticed that when I'm out and about, I don't always have my business cards on me. And I have noticed that actually has benefited me quite a bit when I'm having these conversations. So, excuse me, for example, I was at story time at the library with my son over the weekend, and I happened to be chatting with one of the moms, and she was telling me about how her in-laws, they, for example, have been living in the area for a while, and they have a daughter, and her in-laws want to move and be close to their grandchild, obviously. And she was saying, hey, we again organically happened to bring up that I was in real estate just in conversation. And she was like, I don't know how like this works, like, to be able to like connect the two of you. And I'm like, hey, let me just, I'd love to give you my number, or let me get your number. I'll put it in my phone so that I have it. I'll shoot you a text so you have mine, make sure and save it. And so then we get connected that way. So then I immediately have their information. So then I'm not waiting for a phone call off my card. I have the connection right then and there, and their number to be able to contact them and follow up. And it's just, for me, that has also worked really, really well when I'm working open houses too, is instead of just handing a card and waiting for a follow-up, I get their information and I text them right then and there, and it just opens the door. And it just seems to also, I think, make it feel a little less daunting for the buyer too, because they just immediately have that text thread open. They can just, message me with any question that they might have. And then it opens me to be able to follow up and just check in, whenever, let's say they're not even starting the process yet. It's going to be down the road a little bit and they're just viewing houses, whatever it might be, just opens up that conversation and opens it up.
Yeah, I love that. I got to tell you, more often than not, I hear agents say that by not giving out business cards, or, oh shucks, I just ran out, allow
Yes.
him to
I
capture
have used
more
that line.
Yep. Now, what sector of retail were you in prior?
Sorry, what was that?
What retail company did you work for prior to coming into real estate?
I worked for Michael Kors.
Michael Kors. Now, anybody ever walk into
Yes.
Michael Kors and you'd ask them if they needed help, and they would say, no, I'm fine.
Every day, about
Every
every other
day, right?
person.
Until
Yes.
eventually they needed help. Like, I feel like the real estate equivalent of no, I'm fine is, do you have a card? And so when you say no, but how can I be helpful? And then you're able to capture the information and and drive the conversation. I think that there's more opportunity for us there when we're in control. And then it's not a conversation of did they or did they not call, it's did you or did you not follow up.
Absolutely. Well, and I think too, for a lot of buyers, they may walk into an open house, or that you just may be having the conversation wherever you are, and they're like, well, but we're not ready yet. I mean, how often do we hear that? They think that we're only willing to help them if they're ready to buy a house tomorrow. And that definitely is not the case. To be able to at least capture the information and say, it's okay. Hey, I mean, let's just at least get the process started, or, at least you have my information. So when you are ready, we can definitely follow up and start the process. And it doesn't hurt to start earlier than later. I always tell people, setting up a search for them in the MLS is the quickest and easiest way to also be able to kind of track how ready they are. But also just so then you're touching them every single time they open their email and they have a new listing that came to their inbox from you. So it's just a constant reminder. And that's whether they're going to buy a house now, if they're going to buy a house in 6 months. No, totally fine.
Yeah. And I love that. Listen, the people that are in our sphere and the people that are a part that are referred to us, those are people that we care about, right? Well, we have to stay in front of them to be successful, because to take good care of them. Nobody, right? On average, people buy homes sooner than they expect to. They think like, oh, you know what? I'll probably move sometime in the third quarter. They buy a house in May, right? They buy a house in April. So that timeline always gets pulled up. The same is true, guys. Statistically speaking, the same is true for people selling their homes. On average, people think they're going to stay in their home 2 to 4 years longer than they actually do. So if we're trying to time our database based on need, the only way to do it is just to stay in front of them, right? And that is so important, Lindsay. I love the point you made there, which is like, I can help you. Yes, you can provide value all throughout the process of home ownership. And the truth of the matter is that they're going to need your help sooner than they think.
Absolutely.
Now, do you do a hard ask for the referral? Do you remind people that you're looking for referrals? Do you, is there anything you do to say like, hey, I would love the opportunity to help anybody you know?
Yeah. So it's funny you asked me this, because I'll be honest, in the beginning, when I first started, even probably my first couple years in the business, I was absolutely terrible at asking for referrals. And it's just something that, yeah, it can feel uncomfortable, but if you do it in a way that you're not just coming right out and saying like, hey, who do you know that wants to buy or sell a mess in real estate? I mean, if you do it in a more, natural and genuine way, then it doesn't seem as daunting.
Yeah.
And so especially with your sphere, if you, let's say, you just closed on a property and they're telling you how, just thanking you over and over about how great the transaction went, and they're so grateful for you. And I mean, that's what we want to hear, right? That's hopefully what is happening. And we're just so grateful that we came across you, and like, I love that. That's why I do what I do. This is honestly the part that makes me so happy, is knowing that you're. And so that's when I usually turn around and say, seriously,
we lost you there towards the end, Lindsay. I don't know if you had to move into a different room, but you got pretty jarbled there at the end. But if I had to recapture what you were saying, it's simply a matter of making it as authentic as possible, right? And I'll draw this back to that idea of what we started today's conversation with, which is a win-win, right? And so the win-win for somebody referring business to you is twofold, right? Yes, you win, you get the opportunity to do more business, but the win for them is if you're providing good service, somebody that they know, like, and trust gets great service. And that's the altruistic side. The selfish side is we all want to look good and be right. And so what better way to look good and be right than to grab the guy at the water cooler at the office and say, damn it, Bill, you got to use Lindsay. She's the best real estate agent. And then that referral comes through. I look like a genius because I twisted Bill's arm and made him use you. And now I've got local star power, right? And that's what a referral affords the person doing the referring, is local star power if you do a good job. And guess what? People in this company, by and large, do a good job. So don't be afraid to ask people to let you make them look like a damn genius.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The best is when I get a call or a text message that says like, hey, I see you're really busy because you're, seeing posts on social media or that sort of thing. And they're like, I was wondering if you're taking on new clients right now. I've heard that several times, and it just makes me laugh so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, absolutely. I'll of course make time for your mom. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta play it like, let me get out my Franklin Covey day planner here. See what's on the at a glance. Yeah. I think I can do that one. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, as we barrel our way to the top of the hour here, what other tips, tricks, strategies, parting shots, or just like elements of confidence that you want to bestow on the group when it comes to like getting in there and working your sphere?
One thing that I did mention when, especially I know I said I talked a lot about social media, but a way to, when we were talking about, having it brought up in the conversation without you having to bring up to people and sound salesy, I try to be very strategic about also when I post on social media. So for example, if I am going to go to my nephew's birthday party the next day or later that afternoon, I throw a post up on social media. Maybe it's a house I just sold, or maybe it's just, a house I viewed, or a tip for, first time home buyer. So whatever it might be, I post it out there because everyone, let's be honest, everyone was on their phones pretty much all day long. So at some point, the people that I'm going to seek at that party are going to see that post, and then they're going to bring it up to me and talk about it. Every single time it works, literally every time. Oh my gosh, Lindsay, I just saw you sold a house in Avon Lake. That's so awesome. My mom lives out there. It just starts the conversation. So I'm not even bringing it up. I planted this seed, but then they're bringing it up to me.
Yeah. That's smart. So be really intentional about what you post and when you post, especially in proximity to getting together with people in real life.
Absolutely. And I think overall, just, especially if you're just starting out in the business or really trying to, work your sphere, just being honest and genuine, but also just, be very comfortable and confident when you're having these conversations or when you're talking to people. You don't need to say, oh, I just started. Yes, you of course can say that, but say it with confidence, like, oh my gosh, I just started and I've done this and this, and I've been viewing all these homes or whatever it might be. Confidence in that, regardless of how long you've been in the business or how many deals you have under your belt, come from a place of contribution, which is something that we always talk about, and just be really, really confident in the conversations that you're having, because that is going to show when you're having these conversations with people and putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Power perceived is power achieved. Look, you are doing it. And whether you've sold a home or you've sold 100 homes or you haven't, you're on a 6-week drought, right? You're doing it. So do it. I love it. I love it. Lindsay, thank you so much for the conversation today. I think this is so important that we stay focused on our sphere and we stay focused on conversations about referrals, especially in a shifting market, especially in the market that we're moving into, and especially prior to the big builds in spring, because remember, people will buy and sell sooner than they expect to. And nearly 50% of all real estate transactions in nearly 50% of all real estate transactions, the buyer or seller found their realtor from a referral from a friend, a family member, or a neighbor. So think about
Absolutely.
half the business that's going to happen this year. Half the realtors are going to get their client just by being in relationship with somebody else. Somebody's 3 times more likely to refer you business than do business with you. So get out there and get excited about everything that you have to offer that person and their sphere. So Lindsay, thank you again so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for putting up with my technical difficulties, everybody.
Hey, we thought that this would be over once the pandemic was, but I think technical difficulties here to stay.
Yes, it is.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Thank
Go forth
you.
and conquer. Finish February strong. You got 10 hours left. We'll see you in March.